Magic Eye by Joe Howard. Zehra didn't speak, but she understood everything. She could point to all the pictures in the laminated booklet from special needs. She was a whiz with the maths cubes. Units, tens, hundreds, always the right answer. I tried to get her to write. She took the pencil from me and wrote "No" in perfect cursive script. I was only a trainee teacher. Alma Park Primary School was my first placement, but still, I fantasised that I would be the one to crack Zehra, the one to make a difference. Zehra stayed in at break and lunchtime because she was scared of the chaos in the playground, so I volunteered to sit with her. I made a list of what she liked. Waffle, the class hamster, Polly Pocket, drumstick lollies, drawing with felt tips, but not with pencil crayons. She liked strong lines, precision. The first time I saw her smile was when I let her listen to How Deep Is Your Love on my Discman. Take that, of course, not the Bee Gees. Mark was her favourite. I knew because we were flipping through smash hits and she reached out and stroked his photo. Mike, my mentor, was not impressed by my efforts. "It's a confirmed case of selective mutism," he said. "The girl was smuggled in a lorry from Zagreb." "Srebrenica," I said. "So, what are you saying? We should just give up on her?" "I'm saying there are 31 other kids that need your attention." But he didn't ban me from spending break and lunchtime with Zehra. Someone had to do it, and he would much rather be chain-smoking in the staff room. It was the Magic Eye book that changed everything. I found it in the reading corner. I showed Zehra how to view the pictures, putting the page up to my nose till my eyes went blurry, then moving it slowly away. I couldn't see anything, of course. My eyes always refocused before I saw the 3D image. But Zehra seemed excited to try. The first page had columns of red roses. She stared at them, eyes watering in concentration. The classroom was silent, save for the distant whoops and shouts from the playground. The cold March light slanted through the blinds, casting shadows on Zehra's face. Serious as a statue, she moved the book away, slowly, almost imperceptibly, then broke into a radiant smile. "Heart," she breathed. "Heart," I said. "Is that what you can see? That's amazing, Zehra." There was a sudden rustling. We both sprang up. The display to our left had peeled off the wall, curling into a paper tube that rocked back and forth on the floor. My ears buzzed with static. Waffle the hamster emitted a high-pitched cry. The air in the room felt charged. Squeak! Zehra ran to the cage by the reading corner. She scooped Waffle up and stroked him till he calmed down. I let out a breath. Zehra didn't speak after that. She loved the Magic Eye book, though. She went through every single page. I put it on my list, underlined 3 times, Magic Eye. When Mike asked me to take over the Year 6 history project, I was thrilled. The First World War. I was determined to make it real for them, not just copying from textbooks like we did back in the day, but handling artefacts, looking at photos, listening to music. I was going to bring the trenches to life. Mike sat at the back, taking notes as I introduced the topic. I wanted to show the class a clip from Blackadder Goes Forth, but I didn't realise that you had to book the TV with the VCR, and the Year 2 teacher had nabbed it. I had to fall back on chalk and talk, but I did have a World War I helmet that I'd borrowed from a bloke called Gerald down the Fiddler's Green. They took it in turns to try it on. "It's so heavy, miss. Imagine wearing that all day." "Yes," I said, "and imagine the constant noise of shells and your feet are all wet from the mud." Just then, there was a crash. The metal waste paper bin toppled, spilling paper towels and pencil sharpenings. Everyone gasped. Yasmin Iqbal actually screamed. My head filled with white noise. I shuddered, forcing myself to regain control. "All right, no need for drama. Fetch the dustpan and brush." I played a Sing-Along a War Years CD and asked the children to draw a picture of life in the trenches. Those wartime songs are so jaunty, soon we were all tapping our feet. "Miss, can we shut the windows? It's freezing," Jack whined. He was right. An icy draft rippled the blinds, despite the mild March day. But when I looked, the windows were all closed. Pack Up Your Troubles came on, and someone must have known the tune because I could hear them humming along, sweet and low. I went to check on Zehra. I had been worried that talking about the war could be traumatic, but she seemed perfectly cheerful. "Why haven't you started drawing?" I asked. She looked down at her book, avoiding my gaze. Every time I glanced across, she was staring at the empty display board to her left. We hadn't replaced the fallen display, and the old board was studded with hundreds of staples holding tiny scraps of paper. It was colourful, but hardly fascinating. "Miss, can I move?" Yasmin complained. "That hamster's doing my head in." Waffle was careering around his wheel. I moved the cage to the reading corner and scanned the room. The kids were on task. I glanced at Mike. I badly wanted to get a good write-up for my first history lesson. When I dismissed the class for lunch, Mike strode to the blackboard. "Prepare to write a letter from the trenches," he wrote, underlining it so hard the chalk broke. "You didn't communicate your learning objective to the children, never mind achieve it. Learning is a journey. Children need signposts or they get lost. And I think that word sums up your lesson today. Lost. You lost them, Jennie." I held back the tears till his footsteps receded down the corridor. I was furious with myself for messing up the lesson, for crying about it. And why did my ears keep buzzing? Maybe I had low blood sugar. I stared at my sandwiches through blurry eyes. I couldn't eat a thing. Zehra would be back from dinner soon. I needed to pull myself together. I picked up the magic eye book. Maybe it was the tears pooling in my eyes, but this time the image went blurry really fast. I started to see an outline, and there it was. A heart, sculpted from rosebuds, protruding from the page in perfect 3D. It was incredible. Once you saw it, you could blink and look around the image and it didn't fade. The door clicked open and in came Zehra. "I can see it!" I shouted. "The heart! I've learned how to do it!" She bounded over, a huge grin on her face. We spent the rest of lunchtime looking at the other pictures. I managed to see 5 of them. Zehra was very pleased with my progress. That weekend, I went to Central Library and borrowed a series of slides entitled The Great War in Pictures and a book of letters from the trenches. I visited my nana and came away with a host of goodies for my World War I display. A pocket watch, my great-granddad's cigarette case with some actual woodbines inside, and a working Victorian typewriter. Anything from the period would create a sense of what life used to be like. In my next lesson, I was sure to write the learning objective on the board. I used the slides to set the scene. I hit them with the Blackadder clip, and then we read some letters from the trenches. We talked about what the men were really going through versus what they would share with their families. We discussed censorship and the need to avoid giving away military information. When they started writing their letters, you could hear a pin drop. But then, things did start to drop. Pencils rolled off desks. The pad fell off the flip chart. A book in the reading corner slammed onto the floor and we all jumped. "Miss, it's gone cold again," whined Stacey. "It smells funny," said Yasmin. I sniffed the air. It does smell funny. Maybe it's some of the old things that I brought in, and I'll have to talk to the caretaker about that draft. I shivered and had to sit down on the teacher's desk. The lingering odour was too powerful to be emanating from the dusty relics of my display. It smelled of smoke, not wood smoke or cigarettes. It smelled like pipe tobacco. And what was that noise? Waffle. Waffle was squeaking again. I checked on Zehra. She kept glancing to her left, looking at the display board. This time she was smiling and nodding. Once she laughed out loud, an eerie sound given how little I'd heard her vocalise. Jack saw me looking and twirled his finger at the side of his head. She's nuts, that one. At lunchtime, I headed straight for the staff room. Flushed with success, I wanted to grab a brew before Mike had a chance to burst my bubble. The head was perched on a low chair, loading a crisp bread with cottage cheese. "Jennie," she said, "your World War I display looks smashing." "Oh, thank you," I blushed. "But I'm not sure it's appropriate to bring cigarettes into the classroom," she continued. "I'm sorry." I glanced at the staff room ashtray, overflowing with cigarette ends. "And if you did your research," she said, "you'd know this school is part of the history of the Great War." "It is?" "Alma Park was requisitioned to be used as a hospital. There's a photo and some newspaper clippings in Levenshulme Library." Oh, wow. I suddenly had to sit down. Why hadn't Mike told me this golden nugget of information? Again, the static filled my ears. I started to sweat. "Are you all right, Jennie?" "I'm fine. I think I just need to eat something." I steadied myself against the wall as I walked to the Year 6 classroom. Zehra was waiting outside the door, but no sooner had I let her in than Yasmin ran in, all breathless and panicky. Miss, my sister's having a nosebleed!" The crisis brought me to my senses. Yasmin's sister, the tiniest girl in reception, had morphed into a fountain of blood. By the time I'd staunched the flow with paper towels and called her mum, lunch break was almost over. When I went back to the classroom, Zehra was waiting, proffering a typewritten sheet. The old-fashioned font told me it had been done on my nana's typewriter. I took it from her, puzzled. It was a letter in which a soldier told his wife about the Christmas truce of 1914, when the Allies fraternised with the enemy, singing carols and playing football in no man's land. It was beautifully expressed, in language apt for the period, signed, "Your ever-loving husband, Victor." "Did you write this?" I asked. She nodded vigorously. "But we haven't talked about this in class. Did you learn about it at home? In Bosnia?" She shrugged. "This is very good work, Zehra. I'm very pleased with you." Mike walked in. "Look what Zehra's done this lunchtime," I gushed. Mike's nose wrinkled as he perused the document. "Wait outside, Zehra," he barked. When she left, he rounded on me. "What are you playing at? You've obviously typed this yourself." "I never!" I sounded like a naughty Year 4, but the injustice was too much. I was dealing with a nosebleed all lunchtime. "I see. So, you left Zehra unsupervised?" "Yes, but only for a..." I stopped. He had me. I knew it. "Well, Jennie, the head wants to see you after school." He strode to the door. "Zehra, you may come back in. You have a detention for cheating. I'll be calling your foster mother." "Sit down, Jennie." The head didn't turn from her computer screen. "Mike tells me you've been getting rather too close to Zehra Islamovich." She swivelled towards me on her revolving chair. "He's also shared some other concerns." I looked down at my feet. "I think, on balance, it might be better if you joined Rosemary in Year 2 for a while." And that was it. No more Year 6. No more World War I. No more Zehra. "Thanks, Mrs. Casey," I sniffed. I went to collect my things from the Year 6 classroom. Zehra was there with Mike for her detention. She wouldn't do lines, of course, so he had her removing staples from the rogue display board. "You're back. Good. I've got an appointment. You can wait with her till her foster mother comes." When he left, I turned to Zehra. I'm so sorry he accused you of cheating. Zehra shook her head. She took my hand and pulled me over to the display board, positioning me with my nose against its staple-studded surface. Look, she said. I was thrilled to hear her talk, but she shook her head. Look, she insisted. She pointed at the display board. Magic eye. I saw what she meant. I let my vision go blurry, a film of tears distorting the pock-marked board into a haze. I moved slowly backwards, sweat pouring, my head ringing. I thought I might collapse. And then I saw it. The edges came into view first. A structure. Lines. Geometrical. No, they were bars. A bed. A hospital bed with a pair of crutches leaning against it. And in the bed was a man, perfectly sculpted in 3D. He was smoking a pipe, eyeballing me and laughing. What? I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Victor, said Zehra. The static ringing in my ears intensified. Victor funny, Zehra laughed. I backed away towards the door, knocking a chair off a table. He laughing at you? I stared. He looked so alive. Victor talked to me, said Zehra, about war. Did Victor tell you to write that letter? I asked. He point, I press, she said. So, you did cheat. I cheat, said Zehra, laughing. And suddenly I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe, gulping back sobs at the same time. In the weeks that followed, Mike's behaviour became erratic. He arrived late, pranged his car, lashed out at the caretaker. He grew pale and gaunt. Dark shadows gathered under his eyes. Some might say he had a haunted look. By Easter, he was on the sick. Soon after, on playground duty, I was surprised to see a familiar face. Zehra, you're playing outside now? Zehra grinned. Shh, miss, said Yasmin. We're playing ghosts. If you want to find them, you have to be quiet.
Ghosts at the Old Library, a series of 6 short stories by local writers Marie Crook, Nicholas Royal, Gaynor Jones, Deanna Shepherd, Lauren O'Donoghue and Joe Howard, produced by Levenshulme Old Library and ALLFM, music by Oscilloscope, made possible with funding from the Arts Council, and creative director Richard Hirst.